Awesome. Well, listen, guys, we really appreciate you being here. We say this every meetup, but this is really where the magic happens, right? This meetup is for you guys to bring people together to help you grow your business and meet other people that can help you advance. And so, if take advantage of the opportunity. You have other multifamily investors, you have passive investors, you've got lenders here, you've got brokers here often. So, this meetup is for you and anything that you need to grow your business. So. We are the South Texas Houston chapter of the Multifamily More community, and it's hosted by myself, Brian at Blue Oak Capital, Argent Realty Group, and Nonstop Equity, which we'll talk about in a second. We're going to go through a presentation here with our very special guest speaker tonight, and then we'll do some more networking afterwards. But a little bit more about the Multifamily and More community. We are a nationally branded meetup community that is multifamily focused, and we have three core principles: give more, do more, and be more. And again, it all centers around being stewards of the community and helping others to achieve their success, okay? And so this is all of our sister chapters all across the country. I think we're up to 24 now, everywhere from Hawaii all the way to Florida, and from the south up to the north. So most of these communities also do virtual events, including ourselves. So if you're ever looking to tap into that network, definitely recommend tapping into our Multifamily More community. So a little bit more about us, your co-host. Again, Cody, Brian. Brian, say hello. Wave to everybody. Blue Oak Capital, we're a Houston-based private equity firm, multifamily acquisition based. Currently, to date, we are ownership general partners in soon-to-be 800 units here over the next couple of weeks, and then limited partners in about 2,000 doors. Our focus is larger multifamily acquisitions across Central Texas and other markets outside of Texas. This is our portfolio here. These are the three deals that we've been fortunate enough to be a part of this year. A C-class property, 240 unit, the Sophia in North Houston, Columbus, a three-pack portfolio in Columbus, Ohio, and then our recent acquisition that we're working to close up now, Lone Oak Apartments, which is a 396 unit A-class deal outside of Fort Worth. So really excited about that. So if you're interested in learning more about Blue Oak Capital and how you can potentially partner with us, definitely join our investor club. Check us out. We'd love to learn more about you and your investing thesis and find a way to work with you. Brian and I say this all the time. We'd rather work with you versus against you. So make sure to check us out here at there. So unfortunately, some of our other co-hosts are not available tonight, but we'll briefly introduce them. So we have our couple, Jarvis and Lynette Thibodeau with Argent Realty Group, also Houston-based. Their focus is smaller multifamily, so they have a couple of smaller duplexes, multi-units, and they're focused on smaller multifamily across Houston and New Orleans, Louisiana. We have our good friend Abel Koshi, mechanical engineer by trade, recently turned full-time real estate investor, right now focused on residential wholesale and smaller multifamily acquisitions across the Texas market. So I don't really know what happened to Abel's today. I haven't heard from him, but some of our upcoming events, we do host a virtual meetup as well. That'll be next Thursday in lieu of the Thanksgiving holiday, but usually it's the last Thursday of every month. So if for whatever reason it's hard for you guys to come out and be here physically, we'd love to catch you virtually. So check us out there. Same time, 7 o'clock Central. Our next live meetup will be December 9th, second Thursday of the month, right back here at Wildcat Golf Club. And while I'm on that topic, where's Chris? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Okay. He's trying to turn us down. Is he? All right, well, I guess I'll call him out in a minute. But if you'd like to learn more about us, make sure, if you haven't already, make sure to join our Facebook page, the South Texas Multifamily More Facebook group. We've got a lot of great content, a lot of great networking that comes through there, other event announcements, not only ours, but from other people outside of our community. So, and then here's where you could check each of us out throughout, through our websites if you'd like to connect with us directly. So, all right, guys, with that, we have a very, very special guest with us tonight, and I think you're in for a really big treat. We've got a chance to meet this gentleman earlier this year, and there's Chris right there. Chris, where you at, man? Where you been?
Trying to get the overhead shut down so you can talk.
Oh, I thought Randy was just joking, but. Hey, guys, give Chris a big round of applause. He's the manager here at Wildcat. Chris and his team helped make this event possible here. He's gracious enough to host us here every month, and so we appreciate that. So big shout out to Chris. But anyway, going back to Sid Shamim. So Sid is the CEO and founder of Headway Capital Multifamily and Headway Property Management, and over 10 years of commercial real estate investing experience, and has multiple acquisitions across Houston and Phoenix as well. Bachelor's and master's prepared in engineering, and now a full-time real estate investor. And it's just been a great opportunity to get to know Sid and work with him. And I know a lot of you guys have a personal connection with him as well. So with that, please welcome Sid Shamim.
So, can you guys hear me? Okay, all right.
Give me 1 second, Sid. I'm gonna pull your PowerPoint up.
Thanks for coming. I know it's late, and that just shows your dedication to multifamily. I was not expecting seeing so many familiar faces. I can see people from extreme experience from this table to maybe newcomers as well. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
It's going to pick up here in just a second.
Yeah, okay. So just a little introduction about myself. I met with Cody and Brian. I'm not a social media person, so a lot of people may not have seen me on social media, and I may have talked to you or over the phone or whatnot, but these guys are really nailing it on that perspective. And whenever I talk and meet with similar businesses, people who are doing similar businesses, I kind of interview them a little bit harder. In my mind, I think I'm interviewing them a lot, and they interview me. And that's what exactly with them. So we were interviewing each other, and I decided to kind of roll with them. I feel like these guys are on the right track for sure. Our topic today is really about what happens when you purchase, right? Before that, it's all marketing. It's all pretty presentations, higher number projections, and now you really buy that and give it to a third-party management company, and you kind of rely on them to produce results. Apartment business, some of you will agree or may not, is all about operations. If you don't know your operations, eventually you will fall. You may fall in first 3 months or first 3 years, but the end goal is still you got to produce the ROI that you originally thought that you will, and the net cash flow. The way market is going, you can literally go buy a junk, don't do nothing, and sell it in 3 years. You will sell for more. All experienced people who know, you got to go buy. It will appreciate. So far it has been. That's why a lot of bad operators are getting check marks. Hey, we did that, we did that, we did that. But once you start going into a crunch time where you don't know your operations, it'll be a struggle. And that's what my experience was. I bought a property, I gave it to a third-party management company. Within 3 months, I took it back because I found them stealing and all that. That happened in any business. I was inexperienced, so I caught them when they were stealing very little. If I was more experienced, I would probably let them go and kind of go back and catch them when they're going a little aggressive. So anyway, we'll talk about all of that today on this presentation. I'll try to keep it as fast as possible because I know everybody have to go leave early. My company logo is all about people. It's never about real estate. If you have the right person, you have the right investor. If you have the right team, they will perform for you. Otherwise, you will be a failure. I'll be a failure if I can't manage my people. Okay, there we go. So just my introduction, Cody already talked about it. When I'm not doing real estate, I'm spending time with my family. I have a 4-year-old turning 5 and a brand new on the way, probably in 3 months. Currently, I'm a GP in about 3,500 units. In LP, I've stopped counting on LP, but GP is what I've been mostly counting. I have seen and met people who are extremely high net worth, up to 300 to maybe 400 million, and all of their investment in real estate. maybe they're liquid less than 100,000 in the bank account. I've seen those people, and I'm on that track as well. So multifamily commercial real estate is all I do. I have a total belief in it. And since I manage my own property, so I'm a little bit more comfortable than, than somebody who's not doing it. It comes with some headache, I'm not gonna lie. It comes with some heartburn, some expectations and failing people expectations.
I don't know if I interrupted, but did you start out managing your own land with the very first property?
No. So we hired a third-party management company.
Okay.
And I realized that I should do it myself. And we'll go over that in a little bit. That's my website. We own in Texas and Arizona. Total size about 280 on the portfolio, 280 mil. We do all capital management. We do all asset management, property management, construction management. So it's pretty much vertically integrated. We kind of stay away from third party, except in some vendors that we have to use. This is my team. That's always my first picture in all the presentation that I do. I want to say 98% of the people are still with us. Half of them got COVID in last year, so you passed through that time. These people make between $13 to $20 an hour, maybe $25 an hour, and they're the one who make us money. They're the one who make the investors money. They don't get recognized, so that's my effort to kind of give a shout out over there. So our firm is mostly, like we talked about, it's vertically integrated. It's a full service firm in terms of end to end. We go buy, find, make a deal, purchase, manage, produce cash flow, liquidate, all of that. And there's hardly use any third party unless we are going into an entirely brand new location. As far as if it's in Phoenix, if it's in Houston, that's what we do. We manage all of our properties. Our typical hold time is between 3 to 7 years. I personally like to keep the asset long term, and I'll show you the real power of keeping your asset for long term. That's just my one strategy, but I have seen bought and sold assets within less than 3 years as well. But if I'm going on a better asset now, I'm keeping it for more years. Goal is always to at least 2x the twice your investment. It could be in 3 years, 5 or 7 years, but nothing more 7. Hopefully, when we buy and we operate it right, then we are in a position or stronger position of refinancing and recouping some of the capital back. So as an investor, people who are on the first time here, when you go invest somebody $100, for example, you got to find out when your $100 is converting into 200 on what timeline. So forget about IRR, forget about the cash flows and all of that. The first thing what I tell my passives is to figure out, my partners to figure out when is your $100 becoming a 200, and during that time, what kind of cash you're getting on an annual basis.
So you're saying equity multiple is the first thing you care about?
Equity multiple when I look at something, I'll figure out what is my equity multiple. Then I go into an IRR, then I go into a cash flow. And I try to figure out when will my money will become actual double, and if I'm selling the property or I'm keeping the property. So I would like to keep the property, refi it, hopefully pull all the money out, and keep the property forever. That's just my one strategy that we have been doing, and I feel like it's the way to go into an actual wealth creation for generations. Last 4 or 5 years, we come up with a 40-point, net cash flow NOI increase strategy. It's not really a proprietary strategy. Everybody's kind of know about it. We will kind of go into all level of details on how we go in increasing the actual rent, or how we go increase the other incomes. And we kind of use that template and try to apply on all of our properties. It can take 3 months to apply, or it can take 18 months to apply. It depends, depending on the property and how much work it requires. This stuff pretty much most of you people know all about it. The advantage of doing commercial real estate, your volatility, your investment volatility is lower than your market. That's one of the very strong reason people invest in real estate. Your value appreciation is there, your tax benefits is there. But one thing which a lot of people the real reason I like multifamily is now I'm looking at appreciation and tax benefit, but I'm also looking at the real asset class that a multifamily provides. So for example, if you compare a multifamily with an office space, you have a faster turnaround on apartments to fix that property and produce the cash flow you want, because you have 12 months leases that you can fix and renew them on a higher rate. On different asset classes, you may have 3, 4, 5 years of leases with pre-negotiated rent increase. So your contract, so those asset classes are slower in producing the right kind of equity gain. That's one of my reasons that I'm pretty aggressive on multifamily, because you can literally, if you have your plan right, your first 90 days will dictate if your property going to perform or not. And in most cases, about 18 to 24 months, your apartment from your business plan should be able to execute it. It's not as easy to execute the 18 months plan into other commercial assets. So that's why I like multifamily. So today we'll probably talk about the first property we bought, first syndicated property that I bought. Before that, I bought some of the properties on my own, and bought it, sold it, but this was the first one that we did it as with investors. It's a 138 unit property. It was in Spring Branch. Those of you who don't know about it, Spring Branch is in Southwest. It's the west side of town, right north of I-10. It's real close to city center on Beltway 8 and I-10. I can share the purchase price, but I just didn't want to put it here because we are still litigating with property taxes in the city, so I don't want to put out loud what the price we're doing. But we bought it for like $55,700 a door. It was a lower price, and I was thinking at that time, shit, I'm paying too much. Today, if I go try to sell it, I'm not going to sell it below 120. We have a standing offer on those prices, and we're deciding not to really pull trigger. It was built in 1969, so this property is a classical example of knowing all the problems that an apartment can bring. You have galvanized piping, you have aluminum wiring, you have flat roof, your HVAC's on the roof, your hardy is 1969's plank. They don't make it anymore. So everything was in there, which I shouldn't be touching it because it was my first bigger property. Anyway, so we bought that. Our total cash out of pocket with 28 investors is about 2.7 mil. Our construction costs is 1.2. We kind of save about $250,000 on that. So it's around $900,000 in 3 years. And our initial financing is 6.7 mil. So remember that number, 2.7. That is what our investors paid out, and now everything will revolve around that number. So whatever cash flow that we increase and the value we increase, it has to go and match to what we have paid out. All these numbers are actual, so they're coming from our August number. I didn't update it from September. We update every 3 months on those performances, KPIs, but these are August 2021 realized numbers. These are not projections. They're actually, this cash is actually dropping in the bank. Our takeover income when we bought it, it was $90,000 a month. Our current income about $145 and $46 a month. It's about $50,000 a month in an increase. When we bought the property, it was super dirt, cheap rents. One bedroom was like $600. Market was at $750 with no improvements and whatnot. So it was a real value add, and that's the reason why we bought it. The current NOI, the expense is about $720. The current NOI is about $1,040,000. So far, our cash flow, cash on cash, is about 15%, but we're keeping a reserve because we're fighting with county, and hopefully we'll choke them. But we're producing about 10% cash on cash at the moment. Once we win the cases, we are litigating Harris County right now to bring the taxes down. If you guys been operating, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. We'll pass that detail later on. So far, we have distributed about $750,000 in 3 years, or just over 3 years. 5 cap. So on 5 cap, the current valuation is about 20.8. It's a very big number. I don't think in that market people are paying that much. The max I see is about 135 a door. This is about 140. I didn't do math, but probably in a few years we'll get there. A year later, this will be updated, and I'm probably not going to sell at anything less than 22 mil. Right now it's 20.8, and it's a 5 cap. So would you buy a property on a 5 cap? I'll buy it all day long. I think it's a conservative estimate at the moment. So those are the numbers. Let's just go into a little bit of what we did before and after. So this is the property that we bought. It was an older picture, and of course this is a newer picture, but I live close by this location, and sometime I pass by this property and never noticed that it's an apartment complex leasing office. You'll probably notice that there's a leasing office, and they have a sliding gate that's in front of the leasing office. It's kind of a bad idea for any apartment complex to keep a gate in front of it because you can't come in. So we kind of ripped it off. It was early 2018 construction. We're gonna open up the front area, fix the parking lot, put some pergola, open up that gate into a bigger gate here. And so that was just the front that we fixed at that point. There was one other problem with this property was this leasing office, as per city blueprints, not supposed to be on this street. It was on a different street, which was a smaller street, and we didn't want that. So we kind of get that blueprint fixed with the city, get our maps fixed with the city. If we had a third-party management company, they would never do that. It's just too much work for them. People who are managing themselves, they know the value of all of these little items that I'm talking about, and then we go extra step to do that. When we bought the property, this was their upgraded version, and that's what they were charging for. So it's pretty basic cabinets, basic countertops, white appliances, and we kind of remapped it to something like this, which we have a backsplash, shaker-style cabinets, granite, deep sink, deep double sink, and your black appliances and new flooring, new paint. Our goal was, it was my first time doing it, so I had no freaking idea what market will respond. So I was like, hey, let's go in, and like this kitchen alone is about $3,000 or $3,500, just that kitchen alone. About $1,000 for the appliance package, about I want to say $800 or $900 for the granite. So kind of keep adding that. And we quickly realized, so the management company was fine with that because you want to make it look like that? Sure, go ahead, do that. And we would keep doing it unless I figure out, hey, let's try not doing it and ask for the rents. Let's not do any bids. Say, hey, this is a new rent. We give you the best customer service possible. We'll fix your toilet, fix your problems, but we're not going to upgrade your unit because you're living in there. And that worked. We stopped spending all of that money that we were putting into the capex on interior units, and we jacked up the rents by $150. People were still paying. The key was that we were just producing, just doing the right customer service. We pick them the call, fixing their problems. Third-party management company, usually, I'm not trying to, there are good ones out there as well. I haven't found it yet, but most of these people have, their approach is more on income. They kind of care less on what's your budget, what your business plan is. And if your business plan is to go spend $1 million in a renovation, you go alter your business plan based on the market response, and you say now you figure out, hey, I don't have to spend that $1 million, I can spend $500,000. So that's your saving, and you got to stay engaged with that to actually do that. This is a good one. I love that. So when we bought that property, you see where this wall clock is? So this was the office. It looks really big in this picture, but I can tell you this was like 3 steps, maybe 4 steps big. There's a leasing office manager's desk. And when I walked in first time, I thought they'll probably open a door somewhere to let me meet with the real manager, but that was it. They were using their bathroom as their storage space. So the manager was, using this bathroom, this toilet, as the file storage. It was kind of tricky because it's 138 units property is not as big. At the same time, it was the wrong side of the street. So city will keep coming and say, hey, it's not matching. You have 30 days or 60 days to fix. So we gotta figure out a way to get the city fixed first, and then we went in and we kind of knocked this wall down and opened up. So we kind of merged a small 1-bedroom with this office to make it like an office / model. So we don't have to really have a model unit. The advantage of doing it is because now we can go back and put that wall back and just get the unit back, but we're not really wasting the whole unit as a revenue. Right now we are, because we are okay with our cash. So that's what the change we did. Same for the laundry. The laundry usually, when you're managing it yourself and you're operating yourself, you go a little bit ahead, take a few more steps and try to negotiate the right kind of contract. So with this laundry room change, what we did, we went in and we negotiated a new contract with the laundry company, and I had no idea, but at that time they were offering upfront money to get you in a contract. So we made about $25,000 just to sign a contract to give a new company in, because that contract was expired. I found out about 1 year later, because the first year I was learning and there was a third-party management company and we had no idea. Like they didn't really go and check for us. There's just one more picture. This picture, I put this picture just for a reason, because this is all old Hardy on this picture. It's 1960s Hardy. Our bid was about $300,000 just to change all of those Hardy. This is a new Hardy. No, I'm kidding. This is the same Hardy. We just painted it and we put the borders around it. Kind of save about $200,000 right there. It looked fine. We did one building. It looked fine. It's like, good. Let's not do that. Let's just keep that. So that was a laundry list of capital expenditure. People who have or have bought properties in flat roof properties. If you have a flat roof property and if your HVACs are on top of it, it's a real pain, because now you have a TPO, and if you're changing the whole TPO, the flat roof, the material that goes on the flat roof is called TPO. If you're changing that roof and you're putting the HVAC on it, you have a higher chance of keep damaging your roof if you're not doing it in the right sequence, or if your GC don't know how to do it right. So that was one of the challenges that I've learned. We spent about 1.2, little less than 1.2, because our 50% of interior renovation was not all 50%, is about 30% now. And we're not doing any crazy renovation right now. we'll share that with you. I mean, I don't have to go through this right now, but this is what the number is. How did we get there? Like I said, I mean, early on, I just realized this is just all about income right now. If you can produce an income, it doesn't matter what my business plan says. My business plan is to take the net rental income from 95 to 100,000. I got to figure out a way how to really go. First thing is to go raise your rents. A lot of people go in and try to do all this. They go try to spend the money on the property and not really focusing on the customer service. So in apartment business, if your residents are not renewing, you're losing money. It doesn't matter if you're giving them a new color, new paint, new asphalt. It really doesn't matter. If they're not renewing, and they may not renew because you're not fixing their toilet, but you're fixing the whole roof. That could be a $200,000 job, and your toilet could be $50 or well, $120 for these days for toilet, and they're not going to renew because you're doing it wrong in the wrong sequence. So this line pretty much all what we did. We actually looked into talking to a cell phone tower company to come and install tower in our property. That's one other way to increase income in apartments, where if you have big enough a space, you can always contact them. It's pretty hard to get one. I wanted to try, so they came in, they did a survey. We did not qualify, but if we would have but at least we know the process now. Whenever we buy a new property, we call them again. That's a big income as another income that I don't see a lot of people doing that. Did I miss anything here? No. That was the general floor plan. About 138 units in this floor plan. The takeover rents, this is an interesting one. So takeover rents at one bedroom was $650, today's $850. A second one bedroom plan was $670, today's $870. $738 for 2-1, it's $970 right now. In the 3-bedroom, I love 3-bedroom, that's just, we have a waiting list for that property right now. So our net rental income our GPR went from 101 to 135 at the moment. And this was a little bit older because we just increased our market rents twice ever since I did this presentation. So let's look at the numbers. I think that's where most people will be interested, I guess. We bought in 2018, 2019, our cash and cash was 9%. So our income was about 1.4, NOI was about 785. Net cash flow was 272. 2020 was a slow year. We had a lot of plans to increase rents. We couldn't really do that, but we still kind of slightly increased it, and we're hovering over 10.8% cash and cash. And then 2021 was where we really kind of pushed it hard and went from 1.4 to 1.7 on the income side. Our NOI is about $1,040,000 or $1,045,000. We should be on a track once we settle all of our litigations with Harris County. We should be on a track of about 15% cash and cash as of today. So what that line means is, irrespective of what the property will be sold for, that is a big capital event that will happen when we sell or refi. But during that time, we are producing this cash and cash analyzed to our passives, to our partners. So in terms of the property value, that's where we stand right now. So our total out of pocket was 2.7. That was the first slide that I shared. Our loan was 6.7. On third year, or a little over third year, our property value at 20.8 mil, and our net equity capture is about 14 mil. So in other words, when I sell the property, if I can sell at 20.8, and if I pay this guy, all my partners, and if I pay my debt, then I should be walking out with about 4.1% cash on cash. So our net cash. So in other words, if you have invested in that deal $1, then after paying you the $1, I'll be paying you $4.14 on top of it. So total will be $5.14. And that's if we continue keeping it, we're healthy cash flow. We're not in rush of either refi or sell it. But if we continue keeping it, that value should increase, unless and until we get a huge capital event of new plumbing issue or whatnot. I think that value should hold. So the gross gain is about 514 and net gain is about 414. Any questions?
What kind of debt do you have on
Fannie Mae. It's a 12-year. Yeah, it's a 12-year Fannie Mae 5.2, and it's yield maintenance. So if I go try to sell it, I'll be paying some penalty. I don't want to.
What would make you sell it?
What makes you not sell?
Just the investors want their money, they're gonna
No, they have a bigger problem. If I give them their money back, they have nowhere to place. The way market is going, I mean, pretty much every one of you may have experiences that, even if you want to invest, there's less and less deals right now, or they're super expensive, and so their problem is, keep it for now. If anything, we'll probably go for a supplemental next year. So supplemental loan, try to pull that money back. Hopefully you should be able to pull all of that money back and just put the property in cruise control and see next 2 years again, try to sell it. And the way we have invested that capital to renovate the property, hopefully should give us another 5 to 7 years. And we'll keep that sum in reserve. We'll go renovate it again. And it really depends on location, right? And properties in those locations, you gotta keep it as much as you can, unless something happens, unless there's a black swan event or you get a Harvey hit or whatnot, or things of that nature where cash flow is not there, then you sell it.
So you said you used Fannie then?
Yeah.
Okay, was that that after you had renovated it?
No, so good question. So no, we went directly with Fannie. We went directly with Fannie. So the first loan with Fannie, and then Fannie gave us the renovation loan as well. Yeah. Usually it's a bridge.
Yeah.
Then you renovate and you go into a permanent one. This one, I could have gone to bridge. Bridge rates were even higher, but we decided to just go with Fannie and get a lower rate.
What was your biggest obstacles as far as the management of those properties?
So usually there's one commonality between your HVAC and your property. The moment you install your HVAC, that's when it will dictate its life, whether it's gonna run for 3 years or 5 years. And the moment you buy your property, you have first 90 days to go fix it. So when we bought this one, I didn't know that. And I learned after the fact. But I was proactive on this one. So now we have a team, and now we go through the process of like, when you buy this one, this is your template, you go do all of these items, and there's 40 plus checkpoints that we do on our property. So the real challenge originally was not having the real process and kind of figuring out as we go. But we kind of learned and grew from there, and now we take over. We have the first 90 day, I call it a 90-day vision. So the first 90-day vision, that's kind of given into a handwritten format to the supervisor and the manager, and then we go on a weekly basis to kind of monitor that where we are. Yeah. So more like building out the process and kind of learning the business and the going to the weeds pretty much was the case.
third-party property?
So it's a catch-22 because if you can go manage your first property, then you're not going to have enough time to go buy a second one. And if you keep buying, then you may really get it out of touch with the operations altogether. So the sweet spot is to go buy enough where you can build your own team. And that sweet spot could be 1,000 units, could be 800 units, could be 600 units. I think in Houston area it could be between. So you got to figure out you got to figure out what's your income coming out per unit on the management fee and the property management or asset management fee. And that number is enough to sustain a supervisor. So these days, supervisor is 6 figures. Regional managers are 80,000 and 100,000. You guys may be paying similar amount, but that's what we're paying. Regional supervisor, 80,000 to 100,000 annual package. So once you know that you can manage that, and your payroll is not squeaking up, that's when you go and change your management company. But it's definitely, if you're living in a city and you have properties in a city or anywhere around it, you should be managing it. Because if you're not managing it, then you're literally exchanging emails between the property management company and the investor. Hey, this is the P&L. Sorry, they didn't perform. This is your check. It's less than last month or it's more than last month. But if you really want to go into and manage your business as a business, then you got to go into operations. You got to know how much in HVAC is costing these days. You got to know if your fur down inside is old enough to replace or not. You got to know what kind of plumbing is your property is running. All of those things. I mean, I had an investment in the same area, and we had a huge lawsuit. So I was LP in that deal. The GP was managing third-party management company. Both guys were great, but it just so happened we had a big lawsuit where there was a leak in a bathroom in one of the units. It was a 600 unit property, huge property. They didn't fix it on time, and the kid died. He was sitting on a toilet, and the whole roof fell on him. So our cash flow was gone because we have this lawsuit going, and we keep paying the lawyer fees. A proactive approach could have saved it. Go fix the leak right away, because even if that leaks, it's not going to take 1 or 2 days to fall the whole roof. It's going to take probably a week to sog it and drop it, or maybe 2 weeks. So they didn't really fix the leak in 2 weeks time, and that happens a lot, right? I'm not saying that, but it was just so happened that the kid got hurt. I think got hurt and like severely hurt to a point where next 3 years we didn't see any cash flow. But we sold it, so it was my worst investment, but I still made about 57% on my money. So that's why all of my capital isn't in apartments or in commercial real estate. It was the worst investment I've ever made, but when we sold it, I still walked out with about 57% on top. No questions, a stupid question. Ask away.
What do you see your percentage of other income versus your total? What do you target?
Good question, yeah. So on the low side is about 7%, 6 to 7%. On the high side, it could be 10 to 11% of the net rental income. This property is high. We have 2 properties that other income is super high. And that is because we have a higher recapture of, it really depends if you're adding the RUBS income into other income or not. This property is higher because we have a higher water bill. We did not have a plan of doing the water conservation earlier, but now we have a construction team and we can do the water conservation anytime that we are actually planning on doing it in December and January time. to save some water bill. Yes, go ahead.
How do you structure your investment structure, right? Is there like general LLC with a limited LLC?
So it really depends. So on this one, it's just one LLC. It's a straight up 80-20 split. What property I make, you make. If property didn't make anything, I'm not gonna make anything, you're not gonna make anything. But they're different. That structure has been evolving over time. I don't exactly know what's the new trend. So it's not an A or B share, if that's what you were asking.
Okay.
It's not A, B share. It's just one investment. We win, we lose together. Everybody have the same skin in the game. So that's pretty much what we're doing right now. On this one, there are other structures that I've used in different deals.
Could you tell us about your rent rate? Inflation being what it is. It's growing.
Yeah.
Rents are gonna go up. What's
Yes.
the plan for increasing rents? 'Cause even in my opinion, I look at your rates and I think, why you got room
Yeah.
to increase where you're at in that market?
So I need to put my manager in touch with you. So I do think there's some room in the rent. And what we do is every 18 months to 2 years, we kind of revolve our managers just to get a fresh look on that. So to tackle this inflation problem, we kind of a little bit more on our expense side first and see where we can save on our NOI. So some of the expenses we can, just re-auditing everything on the inventory side can save quite a bit. And that's what we did on all our portfolio last month. On the rent side, we will be looking to increase. There's no other way but to survive. This property is a little bit different because we are somewhat super healthy on the cash flow. We can survive one more year with no rent increase, possibly. But new purchases that you're doing, you gotta increase rents. Yeah.
So your next property you buy, what is the acquisition criteria you're using to find out? How are you deciding whether you want to be in Spring Branch or Katy or wherever?
Yeah, so location's a big factor, and that has been limiting me quite a bit. I've been saying no to so many areas in past. But I think at this point, so Houston or MSA, or in Texas in general, but Houston's particularly, have a really low construction volume at the moment. So at this point, I'm open to any location because I know there's no immediate new construction coming up. And at the same time, your employment diversification is kind of picking up in Houston, just because the oil and gas is a little bit slow for the last 2-3 years. Anytime when this happens, your new employer comes in the market, and that's what we're seeing. Medical center is getting expanded, so a lot more service industries coming in. I've seen news about insurance companies and banks, customer services coming up. So open to all locations pretty much. Better location, relatively better product. My criteria is not that high anymore because that's not the market. So I'm a big believer in market-based management, call it MBM. And if the market dictates you to do something, that's how we should be doing it. Right? 15% cash on cash that I'm producing on this property, can I go and produce right now? Absolutely not. Not possible. So don't invest with me looking at that. This is a good example. And a lot of times when I throw out my offering, I tell them, hey, if you have ever heard La Plaza, don't think of this investment going to blah blah. But again, it really depends on what's going in the market. It's still better. Even in this market right now, you have those IO periods that people try to do the cash flow and then try to sell once the IO expires. I believe even if an IO expires, you got to keep the property because 1 more year or 2 more year or 3 more year, the appreciation will knock off all the cash flow. So to give you an example, say you have 2 properties to decide to invest, property A and property B. Property A is in average location, and property B is in a slightly above average location. The cash on cash difference is 1%. So you invest 100,000, you're gonna make 1,000 more in a year. But on a good location property will sell higher, and a top dollar guy will come and buy it. So your appreciation on a good location property will cover all of your little spread that you're not making on a good location property. So it really if your cash on cash is important to you and it's running your monthly expenses, then look for cash on cash. If you're going for an average location, just know that your appreciation may not be as high. And especially locations where you have one or two employers, stay away from there. Because say you're in the middle of, I don't know, Midtown was one of the boom busts recently. If oil is down, that whole town is gone pretty much. So not looking in those areas.
What type of cash on cash do you look for today? Prices
It's
crazy.
yeah. So
A lot of underwriting and I'm struggling to get things full.
yeah. Look, if you're starting up into first or second property, you gotta produce some cash on cash. Otherwise, it's hard to motivate investors. But at the same time, if you have the right property, hey, there's no cash on cash. We'll do our job, we'll manage the property the way it should. We're not gonna cut corners. If it takes $6,000 to run a unit these days, it's gonna take $6,000 per unit per year. You can't cut it. It's that simple. You may tweak a little bit here and there, but you just can't starve your property. As far as rent growth is concerned, it's really the market. You can put a gold toilet in your bathrooms on your toilet, but you're not going to get the rents. So it's really the market. So, 1-2% cash on cash, I think that's what I'm seeing. And I'm passing on, like I underwrote at least between me and my team, we underwrote about 40 to 45 deals a week, and we pretty much pass on all of them. It's a most number of underwriting that I've ever done, to a point that they underwrite, I don't even underwrite. They send it to me and say, okay, just tell me the last 3 months of collection, I know it will produce a cash on cash or not. So if it's a 100-unit property, if it's not producing a more than 120,000 on net total collection in last 3 months, you're never going to touch 5% cash on cash, even with the IO. So you can do your underwriting right now. I can tell you right now, this never going to touch. You're looking at 75% leverage and 3.5% interest rate. Plug those numbers in. It'll probably hover around with IO only. It will hover around between 4 to 5%. It's 100,000 to 120,000 a month collection. Because we all know the expenses, what will look like. So, yeah, you're right. It's cash and cash is not there.
We've got engagement, 7 to 10 years or longer.
So it'll be based on appreciation, just like back in days when commercial offices were. It will be completely based on appreciation. People buy to park the money. I mean, pretty much all of you may have seen it. There's some investors who are just investing it to get the tax benefit. They don't even care about personally, I don't care about the cash flow anymore because I know it's not there. So I would rather keep buying in the right location, park my capital, and not leave it in. If you have your capital in your bank account, you're losing money because the inflation is eating it up. So you got to at least beat the inflation. And if real estate that you understand, I think that's the safest bet at the moment.
If you're a syndicator looking to get into property management, what's a day one activity would you say?
In terms of
What's day one activity for that syndicator? If you're looking to get into property management, what's kind of some best practices as you start to build out that business?
correct. So it really depends. So if you're hiring somebody to do it for you, or if you're doing it yourself.
You're doing it yourself. You're building out your own property management. What's a good way the best practice to start building out?
How many properties do you have? Say, take an example. one property or 5 property?
Let's start with, let's say one.
One, okay.
Okay.
So if it's one property, so we do have, I have done those sessions with some friends who are starting up. If you're doing for one property, you cannot hire anybody. It's a full-time job, or almost a full-time job depending on the property. And one thing you want to do is focus on the collection. Learn how to collect and leave no delinquency on table. If you have 100-unit property and 95 people are living on your property, you got to make sure all those 95 people are paying you and paying on time. So collection is number one thing that you want to look at. On the expense side, so collection number one, which is managing your delinquency. If you're in the city of Houston, stay away from city of Houston. So don't get into any violation with city. It's gonna cost you time, not so much money, but it's gonna cost you a lot of time, and it's a headache. No more legal battles with either resident or with a vendor. So so save yourself from any legal battles, save yourself from city, focus on collection. I think that's 3 things if you're going to manage your property as just one property. But if you're managing more than 5 or 6 property, hire a supervisor, and then have that person start building that team. Hire managers, hire maintenance people. And when you're starting up, people who are starting up, they're the one who are actually inflating the wages. We're hiring way expensive maintenance guys, and they're not even good. Because the good guy is going somewhere else, like, hey, somebody's paying me $10 more an hour. Like, okay, I can't stop you. So, I hope I answered your question.
How about your sub list? Like, how do you manage your subs? HVAC, roof guys, how do you kind of manage that process?
So it depends if you're in a first step of doing a big project, or if you're doing repair maintenance or scheduled maintenance. If you're doing a scheduled maintenance, and if you have a good lead maintenance who have the HVAC license and the universal and the EPA license, that's a 2 license that you have to look for, they can change it in-house. It takes 3 to 4 hours with a helper to change the whole inside, and outside it's probably less than 2 hours. Outside and inside, both units, could be a little bit more. So if you're doing on a regular basis, but if you're doing and trying to fix everything up front, if you have a bigger issue, you go fix all of the HVAC right now, and don't wait for coming later, because that is one thing that will kill your renewals. You don't care, as a resident, you don't care if your AC is not working, you don't care about beautiful leasing office. Yeah, you don't care. I'm sleepy.
So are you still buying? Are you in the market to
Yes,
acquire, or are you
I'm buying. Yeah, yes, I did, but I'm still buying. Yeah. Good knowledge.
Awesome. Any other questions for Sid? No?
Thank you all.
So, guys, one of the things that I know Brian and I really respect about Sid is the pride that he takes in his business, and I think this is important. We met Sid on his one of his properties located on the west side of Houston, and it was funny because he took us on his tour, and he says, yeah, this is the worst looking property out of my portfolio. We were like, damn, this is a good looking property. So, his passion for execution and operations shows on site, and let me tell you, there's a lot of operators around town that have big portfolios, but you go to their sites and they're running like slumlords. So I think it shows a lot about Sid and his character and the commitment of his team to run his properties, but also as an individual, Sid is a very straight shooter. I know we sat with Sid the first time we met for 2.5 hours just talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff that you don't hear about when it comes to operations. And I really respect that about Sid, and we need more of that. We need more transparency in the business because, the numbers are flashy, but the real work is what it takes to get there. there's a lot to go through. And so I think, it's a really honor to have you here tonight, Sid. We really appreciate your experience and knowledge. If you haven't connected with Sid, highly, highly recommend you do so. How many of you guys are here because you're connected with Sid in some way? Yeah, so a lot of you guys already. So, that just goes to show you the respect that you have, man. So, again, want to thank you for your time. Appreciate that. Guys, we're going to be around networking, so stick around. And if we have not got a chance to meet you yet, we'd love to do so. But the evening is yours. Thank you.